All right, another day working here with the Mustang. Got the engine bay painted. Forgot to turn on the camera earlier, but pretty much just unclipped all the Christmas tree clips from the wire harness, pulled them out of the way, and taped everything that I didn't really want to paint. It's not like perfect. I didn't take everything completely off, but I did just spray so that just because it didn't match. So the old paint was really kind of faded, and at least you see the back and kind of some of the shock towers. It looks like the pretty much like the new paint, but mostly the cleaning. So you can see the rack and painting is actually silver, not black. Everything is clean under there, so everything is good to go. Ended up painting the supercharger, or just the back elbow. I didn't leave it the blue. I just didn't like how that kind of popped out, so just painted it black, and then just painted the red Saleen letters there. I fixed that little vacuum port, so it's all epoxied in there. That should be good. I'm not gonna really mess with that till later. So and then I did paint also the intake tubes black, just so they're instead of silver. I cleaned this harness earlier, so I'm just kind of letting it dry here a little bit. I should be getting the harness tape, so I'm gonna just tape it up really nice. I mean, it's it's not bad, but I just want to tape it so it looks nice. And that's the harness that goes here around the front of the engine, goes to the starter in the back, so it's bolted on here on the front. The ground, it's bolted here on the side. So I did pull the power steering pump off, which is down here. It has the 4 bolts, and then I pulled this the oil filter bracket. I did take the sensor off somewhere up here, and just because I did notice when I unplugged it, that's how you can tell when the oil sensor is leaking. If you unplug it and there's oil inside the plug, that means the oil is bypassing it. And there was some. I just tested it with my compressor, and yes, it does let some oil bypass. So it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to kind of let a little bit of oil. Maybe every time I start it, kind of bypass there, and so I'll be getting a new one. I'm about to take this dipstick off, which has it's just pressed in there, but it has the 1 bolt up here, and then I'm going to take the valve covers off so I can get them cleaned. So with this one, I'll show you guys when I'm ready to put it on here, well, later today or something. But if you have a problem with these leaking, I changed this gasket a few times, and what I did is I got a sandpaper, really fine sandpaper, spread a little bit of WD-40, and just put it on a really flat like table, and just slide this across. And I'll show you, I'm gonna do that a little bit more, just before I put it on, because sometimes this is a little bit not even surface, or whatever, and you put a new gasket and it just keeps leaking. So that's what I did last time, and as you can see, it's not, or you really can't see because, well, the engine is full of oil, but it was not leaking. The last few times it was leaking, so this last time it didn't leak. I driven it quite a bit, not like a whole lot of miles, but before it pretty much started leaking pretty quick. So I'll show you how to do that, and then my new gasket kit should have a new gasket. I mean, there's no way I will reuse this anyways, but you can tell it's not that old because it still has, it's still raised. The rubber it's not that old. So, but I'm just gonna put a new one. Anyways, gonna drain the oil. I took this motor mount. I showed you guys earlier is bad. I got the new motor mounts here. I'm gonna put them in the new engine, and then I'm still debating the front here. So before I put any of the stuff here on the front, like sensor and stuff, I'm debating of painting that timing cover and the valve cover. So we'll see what I decide to do. I am waiting on a little bit of parts just because I don't know, kind of waited, and so I won't have some parts here till kind of midweek, like the clutch pins. That's overnight them, but I'm hoping they'll be here tomorrow. I just don't think they will be in, so I need those little dowel pins. Honestly, I mean, the old flywheel is missing one, but I think that just helps the clutch be lined rather than just keeping the bolts in there. So I need that so I can put the engine and transmission together. Transmission is over there. It's pretty much clean. I gotta scrub a little bit, but it's not all nasty as bad anymore. So I'll clean it a little bit more. I got a new fork and pivot ball. But like I said, I can't put any of that together into the flywheel dowel pins right. So I have to wait on that. And then once that's in, I mean, I can pretty much slap the engine or, put the engine back in there, and I can wait on some of the other stuff to come in. But I don't know. There's a few things, like I think I got a pigtail that's coming, and it's just odds and ends, but no big hurry. That EGR pieces that I was waiting for they were supposed to be here this weekend. I contacted the seller because I ordered off eBay, and because they provided me a shipping number, but it doesn't show anything. And when I contacted them, they refunded my money, so I'm guessing they never sent anything. And so I called LF Performance, Lining Force Performance, I think. They're actually really nice, and they said they were gonna send one right out this morning, upgraded shipping, so that way I can get it this week. And that's no big deal. I think I can reach here on the back with the engine in the car, but I'd rather have everything here outside. And the other thing I need to get done is take this tube off, just to make sure that this heater tube is going to come off this engine, because if not, I think I'm going to have to go to Ford, see if they can get me one. So that's where we're at so far today. All right, a few things since that we got done here. I went ahead and transferred this heater tube, so it wasn't too bad. I just had to pry it off the old engine. The edge, I mean, it's really thin, so it did bend like slightly here at the edge. It's like a little lip, but this new engine, the little spout here has 2 O-rings compared to the original one only had 1 O-ring. So this is kind of like a upgraded little spout that they put in there. So, less likely for it to leak. I did call Ford. That part is obsolete, so they don't sell it. I did get it bolted here. Heater hose is not that old. I bought it new probably within the last year, so gonna reuse that. Dorman does sell a replacement, but it looks different. it looks like it goes higher up here, and I'm pretty sure with the supercharger it will hit. So I didn't even mess with that one. Got the dipstick removed. I did have to loosen the exhaust manifold in that engine to get this removed, but it's all nice and clean. I just got put in, and then a new O-ring in there, so I'll put a new O-ring in there. This gasket kit that I got with the engine, it's good, don't get me wrong. If it was kind of like a replacement, you know, the same factory, because it has the intake manifold gaskets and everything, the upper, which no big deal. I'm not gonna use any of those. I don't have, there's no O-ring for the dipstick in here, for one, but I do have plenty of O-rings. The only thing is, didn't come with the valve cover grommet seals. So, you know, well, actually, I think I have one over here. The valve cover has this little, you know, this is where your bolt goes through. And there's this seal here on top. So I don't want to reuse these just because it looks like, you know, the bolt bottoms out, or this metal piece bottoms out all the way down. And as it was, you know, it was leaking, and I know there was some oil residue around this grommet, so I don't know if they're just worn out. I don't want to put them on and then find out it's leaking later on, so I'm gonna have to buy those. I think I already talked about this one leaking, so I'm gonna have to get one of those. Other than that, that's pretty much about it as of right now. I did get the timing cover here all primed. I'm gonna pick up some paint. I thought I had some left over. Well, actually I did have a little bit left over when I painted the car, but it's solid. So I don't know if I had already mixed it when I put in the little can, but, and then I did primer the valve covers. I cleaned them up really good. So these are primered. I'm gonna go ahead and paint them the same color as the car. Same with the timing cover. Since the engine is out, it gets covered by, you know, a bunch of stuff, but something different. Valve covers you can't see, so at least, you know, you can kind of see something different there on top. So that's about it. So it's kind of getting late in the day today. Tomorrow I'm just gonna pick up here where I left off. So hopefully if I get the tape, it's supposed to be delivered today, so hopefully I'll get it later today. Mail hasn't come yet. They work pretty late, so I'll get that harness all done, get the motor mounts on the new engine since it'll be painted here a little bit later today, and then, you know, I'll start running that harness, put the motor mounts. I'll clean the power steering pump. It's pretty new too, so I just got to clean it a little bit, get that oil filter adapter clean, put it on there. And hopefully, I don't think those pins for the flywheel will show up tomorrow, but hopefully those will be here Wednesday. So the tranny, like I said, it's pretty clean, but I'm gonna get my wire brush and just, you know, scrub a little bit more, replace the pivot ball. It's, you know, just a little bit worn out, and, you know, get all that ready in there. So that's pretty much where we're at. So stay tuned. Alright, so got the timing cover painted here. It's hard to see with the lighting, but got the harmonic bouncer on there. I did get a new harmonic bouncer just because the other one, I mean, it's not bad, but the rubber does look a little bit out slightly, so you know, just got a new one there. I did get a new water pump, which we're gonna install here next, and then got the O-ring there. And I also did paint the valve covers as well. So Get these on there, blue. So we'll get those on there. I was able to go to the store and get the correct, or not correct, but the completed valve cover gaskets. So, you know, they have those grommets that I needed. Not sure why they didn't send those with the engine kit, but yes, they may or may not. So, gonna get those. I got the little pieces that hold the grommets cleaned, and then we'll slap the valve covers on there. That I didn't get the tape for the harness, so hopefully today we'll see. But I got the valve covers to put on. I'll put on the engine mounts. I'll show you guys on that oil filter adapter. I know I told you guys about it, so we'll get that on there. Power steering pump, everything on there. So that is what we're doing here today. And more cleanup as we go. Some things. That engine's pretty much all I need to take off of these two idler pulleys, and you know, put these little pieces on the other engine, and that's pretty much it as far as things that I will need off this engine. So the sensors here, but we'll get those cleaned as well. So pretty much after we do that, and this engine, you know, I'll probably put that plastic over it, but we'll put it aside and then we'll just keep going. All right, put in the valve cover gaskets here. So, you know, you just put them on the channel on the valve cover, and then the actual grommets, the Gondes metal pieces, they go in through here, and the gasket has 3 little tabs on there that holds it in. So make sure you push that gasket in there. Don't just pop them in, because then this gasket is just gonna push it out. So that's gonna hold it in place. It does have this little ears here. This is where the timing cover goes to the cylinder head, and you do have to put a little bit of silicone there on the top. So just right here on top where these both meet, just put a little bit of silicone that way to make sure it seals. So gonna get the other valve cover and then we'll bolt it up. Alright, so I got the oil filter adapter gasket here, or oil filter adapter, not the gasket. This is what I was telling you guys about earlier. So I would recommend anytime you're going to change that gasket, do this just to make sure this area is flat, and that way your repair lasts longer. So I have 600 grit paper here. Make sure you put it in a flat desk, you know, flat area. I'm going to spray some WD-40 in here. And pretty much all you're going to do is grab your oil filter adapter, make sure it's flat, and then just, you know, go back and forth. Make sure what you're doing is making sure that that surface is flat. Because if there's any, you know, if it's at all a little bit warped for whatever reason, you put that new gasket, it's gonna start leaking right away. So, you know, just, you don't have to do it a lot, it depends. I did this one not too long ago, so it should be pretty flat. I did my dad's Mustang, probably a few months back, but you know, the same thing. So once you sand it, then you can look at it and then you can tell if it's all hitting, it's going to be nice and shiny all the way across. Like this one had, you know, this area here around where the water was that had pretty bad, you know, like little indentation. So, you know, it's pretty good now, but if you see that it's not that flat, then you can always just, you know, do it more. If you have like a spot that's not getting any, you know, it's not shiny, that means that's low, so you have to do it till everything is uniform. You know, if you don't feel like your paper is cutting anymore, once you've done it for a little bit, just get another piece. Do the same thing, just spray some WD-40. So once you see that it's all, you know, uniform, you can tell it's flat, then you're ready to put it back in the car. So, you know, just a quick tip. I found this to be a pretty, you know, straightforward way to doing it, and it works really well. So like I said, I did my dad's car. That one I had to do a little bit longer. This is 600. If you need to sand a little bit more because you see a spot that's just not getting anything, then you can use 400 or something. But always finish with the fine. That way it's nice and smooth. So anyways, this is pretty much ready. So I'm just gonna get it ready and throw it in the car now, or on the engine. All right, so we got everything off of this engine. Or I got everything off this engine that I needed to get, so just wrapped it up. Probably gonna get some shrink wrap like I had this one and just wrap it more. I don't want a bunch of like dust to be getting in there. So got the water pump in here, power steering pump, idlers, you know, the sensors, got the crank cam, and then that water outlet. Got the engine mount in here. One thing that I run into with the motor mount, so it has the 2 bolts here, 1 bolt way on top here, is I couldn't get this bolt over here with the header in there. So I did cut the bolt about 1/4 inch. At the end, it just has kind of like a smooth edge. So I didn't really cut any of the, well, I cut like 1/8 of the threads off. But if you're doing this at home and you're doing headers or you have headers, just know that that bolt's probably not going to come out with the headers in place. So I didn't know that till now that I went to put the motor mount in, but no big deal. Like I said, I just went ahead and cut it a little bit, but everything is pretty much buttoned up in here. So as far as the engine, I'm gonna get the transmission, bring it this way, and just you know, scrub a little bit with my brush. And I did get the bearing from the kit here, so I got it in my new clutch fork, ready to go. So this one does not make, you know, no noise. Hopefully it lasts quite a bit. My last Mustang that I had, I put a new clutch in there, and within like a week that thing was making a little bit of noise. So FYI, try to, you know, if you buy like just a oil replacement clutch, maybe upgrade the bearing to like a, I know Ford Racing makes good bearings, or you know, something like a good quality one. This one came with the spec clutch, so I'm gonna assume it's a good bearing. I don't know what brand it is. It's probably their own, but we'll see. Other than that, I am waiting for a few things to come in, like the, you know, flywheel dowel pins still. So until that gets in, I can make the engine tranny together and put them in, but we're making some progress. So I'm cleaning up a little bit here on the floor, and then Gonna clean the tranny. That's probably as far as I'll get today, unless I get that tape so I can finish that harness that's over there on the engine hoist. I am gonna look through my parts. I have a bunch of stuff. Usually I buy stuff and then put it away, but if I do, I'm pretty sure I have a air fuel ratio gauge. So if I do and it has the sensor, I'm probably gonna weld a bung. I marked this right here because this would be where there's nothing in the way. Just that way I can hook that up directly to that gauge, because the factory sensors are, I think these aren't wideband or whatever this gauge needs. So I'll see if I have that. If not, I'm not going to worry about it at this time. Those are pretty expensive. So, but if I do have one, I'll weld that in there. That way it's ready to hook up, whenever I get to it. Other than that, I also need to clean the AC compressor over there a little bit. Power steering, reservoir. That's pretty much it. The starter was pretty oily, so I'm gonna clean that as well. And then the tranny mount, I think I ordered one, but this one is good, so I'm gonna clean it just in case the other one doesn't get here in time. That one's easy to change out anytime anyways. But anywho, a lot of cleaning up, and then I did have one of these seals left over from that kit, so I'll save that just in case with my valve cover gaskets here that are now extra since I used the other kit. The only thing I used from this kit was the oil adapter gasket, which looks like we have two of them here. So let's see here. Huh. Well, anyways, there's two, so I guess there's an extra one. Cool. More cleaning up. All right, so we got my harness tape, so went ahead and redid this harness. It's a little bit hard to see, but it just makes it look a lot nicer. It's like the factory, it's not like, I did put a little bit of electrical tape here at the end just to, extra, but the harness itself, it just looks better. It looks nice in factory. So this is all done, got it bolted in there, so that's all ready. And I'll go ahead and I went ahead and cleaned all the parts. So I got my AC compressor clean, power steering reservoir, that mount, the transmission is pretty clean now. Got that shift pivot ball in there, and then I cleaned up where the release bearing rides. So everything's ready to go. I did use one of these rolls of the harness tape, or a lot of people call it the Tessa tape. So it's very nice stuff for harness. I'm gonna do the main harness for the engine, and then although we'll see, I may start doing it, but I need to wait once the engine's in there just to see exactly where it needs to be. But overall, it's pretty much just waiting on those few things, and then we'll put that transmission and engine together and put it in there. All right, got the clutch in there already, transmission mounted. It's a little bit hard by myself just because anytime I try to push it, you know, everything was moving. But the main thing is it has the two dowel pins on the back of the engine. So you want to line it up. You know, I got it freely to go in. It just needed like a 1/4 inch, but as long as it's already lined up on those pins and it's already, you know, in, then I just barely tighten the bolts and it just slid into place. What you don't want to do is, you know, have it like 1 inch apart and then drive the bolts and put it together. So one thing to help is I turned the crank a little bit. I think the splines on the tranny weren't quite lined up with the clutch. So that made it pretty much slide right in. So I'm just gonna finish putting all the bolts here. I got that seal installed in the back. And then I got the harness already put on and everything. So pretty much after this, it's gonna go in the car. So just finish bolting this up and then getting ready to slide it in there.
You